Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, I will be talking about a different storm, finally, right? I've been talking about this blizzard for a while, and honestly it's kind of getting a bit redundant, and yes, it is almost kind of on a way out in terms of the snowy side. It's still occurring and it's still dropping snow, so I will go over a few details, but I will be focusing on a new system. As you could tell, another storm. I don't know what I'm going to title the video exactly, but it will be affecting a different part of the country. Now, again, I don't think the snowfall amounts will be really heavy, which is why I'm not calling it a strong or powerful or large system. I don't know what I'll call it, but I'll make sure to kind of use a modest terminology, because this system has a potential to drop decent amounts of snow across the Midwest as a clipper system and into portions of kind of the Ohio Valley. But as it rides up into the Northeast, it may strengthen into a nor'easter. Now, this nor'easter won't be bringing massive amounts of snow to, say, the coastal areas or even up interior portions of New York, Pennsylvania, and etc. Right? It will be kind of a nor'easter that develops right on a cusp to where it affects a portion of the United States, mainly New England, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and then southern Canada. But I'll show you it. It's definitely interesting. It's still far out, and again, I think it's refreshing to be kind of talking about something different now. So I do want to say that before we get into this, thank you guys so much for the support on recent videos. I've been getting a lot of comments, likes, whatever, subscriptions, so it's really awesome to see that. So I do want to remind you that if you do enjoy this content, this channel, obviously watch the video first, see if you do enjoy it, and then consider subscribing, consider hitting the thumbs up button, and leaving a comment down below. I usually answer a majority of them. And I do want to say that if you have any critique or whatnot, please leave that down below. I take constructive criticism pretty well, right? Obviously, I'm supposed to, because I'm not gonna just listen to a comment that just says, "Oh, say it's fake," right? I mean, how am I supposed to improve on that? But if people tell me to go slower, if people tell me to kind of improve on certain things, I am more than I'm beyond glad to do that, because otherwise I won't improve. So I will be talking a bit slower from now on, and that's again always a problem I knew I had. It's just, again, got reinforced with when more people watch the video. And that's definitely, again, it's not insulting, it's not offending, it's not a hate comment, it's constructive critique that is very well warranted. All right, so let's start talking about this. So let's first just finish off this whole blizzard talk, right? Again, it is a blizzard, and I do want to show you that there are blizzard warnings issued for portions of the Dakotas. And actually, let me show you that right now. As you can see, I have the National Weather Service map pulled up. This is the Weather Ready Nation, so it gives us the advisories and warnings for the United States. It doesn't show Canada, unfortunately, even though that's where the majority of this storm is occurring. Notice a lot of winter weather advisories, even where snowfall will be very, very little, if not, they're pretty much non-existent, and that's because of the winds. The winds are going to be causing this to be much worse than it should be. I do want to point out, look at this. We're Des Moines, Iowa, seeing light snow, and on the radar this shows up as green colors. Again, this may appear as green on the radar when you're looking at the wraparound precipitation. You know what? I'll talk about that later, because let me just show you this winter weather advisory. And I just want to show you why, again, the winds are such a big deal with this system. You can see those snowfall amounts will only reach an inch or two. It's really the lower visibility with the strong and powerful winds. I mean, look at those winds. That's what's going to make it extremely, obviously, hard for driving and just for, honestly, day-to-day activities that are outside. If you're inside, it's obviously going to be pretty darn nice. Let's take a look at northeastern North Dakota and take a look at what they show here. And notice, again, this is where they have those blizzard warnings. The snowfall amounts are going to be decent, not just 1 inch, so they're already pretty good. And of course, the winds are just going to be absolutely profound. So up here, it's more of a heavy snow event rather than a wind event. Obviously, the wind is still a very, very big factor, and you can see that the total nighttime is 4 to 8 inches, so that's still additional on top of what's already there. 1 to 3 tomorrow, so it's a pretty big event for a lot of these locations. And again, we have a lot of high wind warnings and whatnot. So let me show you quickly the radar, as well, as I think that really shows how big this system is. Okay, let me zoom out. This is my local radar that I use for Chicago, so that's why I was zoomed in on Chicago. So let me kind of show as much of the map as I can. And again, this system is massive, And yeah, I mean, let me just zoom out for the whole entire United States. People want to see the whole map, and you can see that there's a whole map. This is an hour, or this is a radar loop of the past 6 hours. And notice the Northwest is seeing some precipitation from a system, all rain other than snow for the mountains. We have that powerful cold front. It's more of a moderate to heavy rainmaker rather than any severe weather, but it's there nonetheless. We got a decent amount here across my area of rain, so it was definitely much needed. And look at that. There's that snowy side. You can see that obviously the snow is occurring very heavily across the International Falls, just north of Thunder Bay, where it's currently raining. And look at that. Fargo, Winnipeg, continuing to see snow. They've been seeing snow across Winnipeg for over 24 hours at this point. Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, starting to see some snow pivot into your area. Again, and this is what I was talking about. This is showing up as green on the radar, right? And you can see, oh, it's green, not, it's rain. But if you're to take a look at the actual current condition in Des Moines, Iowa, you can see that it's a light snow. Yes, at 47 degrees Fahrenheit. That is because the atmosphere is much more colder. It's only really the bottom several hundred feet that are warm. So that's why it's going to be falling as kind of a melted snowflake type precipitation, which is considered grapple. So, yes, I will be going over now what to expect from that new system. I just kind of wanted to do a recap on that prior system. And let me show you the European model and what it shows with that the lingering storm and that new storm. So, let me put this forward again. You can see that wraparound. This is at this point Friday at 2 a.m. So again, this is today late at night. You can see tomorrow it pivots into with that wraparound across Iowa, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and that does produce again mainly snow. Even though it may show up as rain on the radar, we have that cold front to move into the northeast. Again, this does bring quite a bit of snow for southeastern Canada, but by then, most of the activity is kind of all set and done with, and this is now late Friday into early Saturday. I do want to say, guys, that there will be some decent lake effect, and again, I think it's going to be a similar situation. Just because it is green on the map doesn't mean that it won't be falling as snow, because again, it's just going to be warm across the surface. In the upper atmosphere, it's going to be cold. Now, that's the old system, right? Let me show you quickly additional snowfall accumulations, just because, why not? And you can see that they can be still rather significant. And again, this is from 12 o'clock today, and I'm recording this at 6 p.m., so some of these amounts are going to be a bit lighter. I doubt it that there's going to be additional 14 inches across northern Minnesota. Probably an additional, at this point, maybe 6 inches, maybe 8 if you're being really optimistic. And this is where we start seeing that new storm. So that old one pushes away, and at the beginning it looks like a little more of a little nuisance and kind of a disgrace to call it a storm. But notice that as I push this forward, look at that, boom, it develops into a pretty nice clipper. So clippers have a reputation of being moisture starved. They often don't have a cold front, don't have access to moisture, but they sometimes do have a bit more moisture with them, and there are some clippers that are a bit more stronger, and this is going to be one of them. Look at this. It has a decent band of moderate to heavy snow across Minnesota and into North Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. All that snow, it's actually falling at a decent rate for a Alberta clipper. And also do notice that we have a massive system moving in onto southwest Canada, dropping loads of precip and rain. The problem with this system is for the snowfall, I guess, for further south locations, say like Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and again, the exact track is still undetermined, which even worsens the situation, is that it's not going to be solidly cold enough for all areas to see snow. While I do think it will be main precip type, there will be some rain mixing in, especially in where that low pressure is. Anywhere south and even really along where that exact low pressure tracks, there could be some rain mixing in. But do notice that it does definitely drop a bit of snow across the plains, the Midwest, the Great Lakes. Again, maybe a bit more snow than what it shows here. I think this will be falling mainly as snow, not again rain. But look what it does across the Ohio Valley. Not really much, right? It's a pretty weak storm. But look, it starts picking up moisture from the Atlantic Ocean, and it does so very quickly. And with that, look at that. I mean, within 12 hours, it really is almost going to bomb out. I mean, not quite, but boom, look at that, 985 millibars. It has a very strong wind. On the backside, there's going to be potentially very heavy snow across Maine, New Hampshire, and the European model is not the only model that shows this. Again, it's not going to be a massive one because you could see it develops into a big beast, but it only manages to clip portions of the kind of the viewing area before it gets blown out further into Canada. But look at that, 977 millibars from, I mean, literally in 48 hours. That's gonna, I don't know if that meets the qualifications for bombing out. I honestly, I think it might. And yes, it does speed on out into the Atlantic Ocean. So yes, as you could tell, that one is definitely going to be a interesting storm, and it's going to be hard to show you what snowfall it leaves because we still have this one that kind of fuzzes everything up. Again, this is the snowfall from that first storm, but just notice where this new snow will occur. Actually, yeah, I can't. All right. And notice that into North Dakota we see more snowfall. Right into Minnesota. Look across Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and right there. Watch this area as it blows up in snowfall. Obviously, the further north and east you go, it's going to be a lot of it. There could be quite a bit right there on the Bay of kind of where St. Lawrence lies. There's probably an actual name for this body of water. I do know that's the St. Lawrence River right there, but I don't really know exactly what the body of water here is, but right on the coast, the southern coast of that, there's going to be, I mean, you can see the European really is excited about that. But look at Maine. I mean, up to a foot of snow. New Hampshire, Vermont, several inches, especially in the higher elevations. And yeah, you can see the pattern remains active for mainly southern Canada in the kind of long range according to the European. Let me show you the GFS, the most recent GFS model, and show you what it does with that storm. Let's take a look at that precipitation type, not that snowfall, because I want to see for myself what it does. Last time I checked, I don't think the GFS was nearly as excited as the European about the development of that storm. It definitely shows a clipper, and you can see it's more further towards the south with that snow. That is decent snow rates for an Alberta clipper across Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, into Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. Again, this is that storm that I'm talking about in the title. So you won't, if you're asking in Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, the South, whether or not you will see snow, no, not from this one yet. Again, this is going to be affecting areas further south than that first storm, but again, not, you can see in this respective area, that's the snow. And find your city, find your state. There could be actually some pretty decent snowfall rates. I mean, that's assuming very, very heavy snow right there across Illinois and Michigan. I would say this is a rather exciting model outlook. I honestly don't think it will be this strong. The clipper, it is just a bit too aggressive. Regardless, look what it does. It keeps that low pressure further away from the coast. It keeps it more towards really the lakes, into kind of on the north side of the St. Lawrence River, of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. And it does eventually intensify, but it does so once it's already way out over here, and it really doesn't pose much of a threat at all. And then notice the GFS does keep the pattern active. It shows a bit of snow for right there into Minneapolis, and maybe a very large system, but no, I guess, snow from it. Again, we'll have to see what the models do. And right now, all of them are doing, again, their fair share of unconfidence, showing their fair share of unconfidence. But again, we're just kind of focused on that system that I'm talking about, that little clipper. Again, not that much according to the GFS. Let's take a look at that totals 10-1. I mean, the GFS, let me scratch that. It shows a lot for this area right here, which again, I think is a bit too much, which again, yeah, I mean, to see 7-8 inches, even in Wisconsin, Illinois, from a clipper like that would be in like the top percentile of clipper systems. And you can see it does bring some snow. It's just not as significant, and it's definitely a possibility. But just because of how it shows this strength right here of that clipper, I really doubt it will be, honestly, as this rest of the scenario is going to play out, as it doesn't have a good handle, I don't think, of what's going to happen across the Midwest. I wouldn't have anything wrong with that. I'd like some snow, but again, kind of got to be realistic here. Canadian, it's a very good model. I like it a lot. So let's see what it shows. Let me just show you the snowfall right off the bat. So there's that first storm. There's that clipper. You can see its footprint getting kind of delivered. It does bring a bit of that lake effect. Whether or not it intensifies into a nor'easter, let's see. I'm assuming it does not, because we don't really see any snowfall there. So let's verify that by looking at the precipitation type in radar. And look at that, boom, there's our big blizzard, right? That's not the one I'm kind of talking about, the new one. There's our clipper. So again, at least the Canadian shows a clipper. Shows a little weakling low pressure kind of out ahead of the one I'm really talking about. That could have some potential for intensification. You can see it's pretty small scale and doesn't intensify even according to the Canadian. And yeah, the Canadian maybe develops a storm, but really not even close to our viewing area, so it's not really our concern. In the long range, it does show a big storm across Canada, but again, that is very, very far to the north. We're not really our concern, at least for now. So let's take a look now at some high-res models. So this system is kind of close enough to occur, that this new one that I'm talking about, that we could start see seeing some opinions of, say, the NAM, which goes out to 84 hours. So this is the blizzard that, we've been talking about. It goes through. There's lots of rain for the Northeast, lake effect. But again, we're focusing on that clipper. Look, into Wisconsin, Minnesota, right there, there's that snow. I would say that's a pretty decent kind of opinion of what may happen. Brings definitely a lot of snow into Ohio, Indiana, the NAM 12KM model, more than any of the other ones do. And whether or not it intensifies into a nor'easter, we can't tell because it doesn't go out far enough. But in the meantime, it definitely does show a mighty system for the Great Lakes, being a Alberta clipper. And you can see that obviously does reflect in the snowfall amounts of 3 to 4, maybe even 5 inches. Again, this is a clipper, so don't expect a foot of snow, but even for a clipper this far to the south in this time of the year, that is impressive. As I take a look at some other models, RGEM, a high-res Canadian model, you can see it is also very excited for what it does across the Midwest, the Great Lakes. That's a widespread swath of 4 to 6 inches. Again, as far south as Indiana, Ohio, northern Kentucky, into Minnesota, into Wisconsin. So, yes, some of that is the snow from the initial wraparound, but again, a lot of that does fall from that clipper, and let me show you that. So again, some of that snow will be falling tomorrow from that wraparound. Again, shows a lot of green that will be probably falling as snow. Here we have that very strong cold front of that system that gets swept away. That's not, again, the one we're talking about. This is the culprit. Does bring snow into, say, Illinois, Minnesota, North Dakota, right there. That's initial stage, right? Iowa. Look, there's that snow. It does bring quite a bit into, again, Ohio, Indiana. It's interesting how aggressive it's showing that. It does bring a bit of lake effect. We'll have to see what it does with that. And again, we can't tell what it develops, when nor'easter or not, because it's not. It doesn't go up far enough, but definitely it looks promising, I would say, if you want that storm. It's already a decent developed one right there. HRDPS only goes out to 48, so it doesn't even show really the clipper stage of that. The FE high res goes out to 60, so it just shows the clipper kind of organization across the northern plains, which again, I do want to say the Dakotas will also get impacted by this. Really, again, the eastern half of both of the Dakotas. And look at this guy right here. We have that little strengthening storm that the Canadians showed, right? If that it's cold enough, some of that could be falling as snow. And, it's not going to be significant, but maybe cities like Albany could pick up an inch or two out of that. So there's a lot of little features to watch, right? Where we obviously have this big, massive one. But then within this big, massive beast, we have the wraparound, which is going to be occurring tomorrow. We have that lake effect, which is really through much of Saturday into Friday going to be occurring. And then we have that little small one that develops kind of from that wraparound precipitation as it progresses towards the east. And, of course, that new storm I'm talking about. So it's a lot to fit into the into a small video, which is why often I talk so quick. Let's take a look at the 5-day snowfall from the European ensemble. So these are many models, and let me show you what they show. So again, this is 51 models. I always do this because if I just take a look at the European, the Canadian, the GFS, and like today, again, the GFS doesn't show a system, doesn't develop one up until it is further out into the coast, right? Not affecting us, the Northeast, meaning. What I mean by that. So the Canadian doesn't do that either, or it doesn't show a system either. But the European, it develops one. Now, just off of that, I could say there's a possibility. But looking at these ensembles, it'll help me know whether or not the European has support from its family, if you will, which are all these models. Or is it just a crazy outlier? And let me show you. This is 5 days snowfall. So I think what it does is, I don't know how far it goes. I don't think it goes far enough to show the storm. No, it does show the storm. If it were to occur, you can see it shows that snow across the Northeast. So I said that because the 5 days I thought might fall just a bit short of when this would be occurring across the Northeast, which would be, if it were to occur, which again is a pretty large question by itself, would be around the Sunday. No. It would be right there around Monday. So again, there's a lot of ifs and whatnot, but look at this one. So right here, first one, boom, it does show quite a bit of snow right there. It does show quite a bit across the Great Lakes. Again, that clipper system. This is that snow right there is from the initial blizzard. So it's hard to ignore it because, yes, it's kind of eye-catching. But again, I'm trying to talk about the storm. That's just the clipper, and I can't really separate the snowfall totals based on storm. You can see this one doesn't show as much for the Great Lakes. It obviously does show something, but it does show an intensification of a storm. So definitely kind of on par with that. Look at this one. It shows decent snow to, say, Illinois, Iowa. Not much for the Northeast. Let me just show you this, and I'll stop every single one that kind of shows an intensifying storm. There's one right there. As I put this forward, there's one again. You can see decent snowfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches across anywhere where that blue is. So find your location and, check it out on the map. This one shows decent amounts, and look, it shows a very, very strong system more into southern Canada. This one does as well, no, not as much, and we'll just have to run through these models to see. Again, you can see there's some that do. Again, there's some that don't. But I would say that there are generally more than not that show snow for, say, Maine and into southern Canada and into the Great Lakes, right? The Ohio Valley from that clipper. So you can see that it's not a crazy outlier, the European. It definitely doesn't have substantial support like, all of them, but you can see that there's quite a few models that do show a decent amount of kind of that. Look at that. I mean, if that were to occur, that's significant. And here's the thing, the track of the actual clipper also matters before it reaches the Northeast, because if it's more further inland, say like the Canadian showed, it will not even have access to the ocean to strengthen. If it takes more of a southern track, it will bring probably more snow for areas like Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, and really, I wouldn't say higher amounts, just further south, further plains. But as it tracks further towards the south, if it were to be a southern scenario, it goes out more towards the ocean, and maybe could even strengthen into a system earlier on and bring snow into maybe New Hampshire, maybe even northern Massachusetts, right? I don't think there's a possibility for this thing to explode across in general the Northeast. It's just a matter of fact, or a matter of whether or not it will affect a good portion of New England or whether it will not, with that snowfall. And New England being really mainly kind of these last three states of Maine, New Hampshire, and a good portion of southern Canada. You can see it doesn't do much here, but right there it explodes into a beast. Decent snow across the Midwest, though, from that clipper. And that's kind of the weird thing, that one model may show decent amounts across the Midwest, not necessarily across the Northeast. One might not show any for the Midwest, or not too significant, and then not much for the Northeast. And then some show a lot right there as well across the Northeast, and then some show a lot across the Great Lakes, but not as much across the kind of Northeast and southern Canada, or at least it's a bit further towards the north. So it's not a strict kind of pattern with what they show. Look at this one. That one shows a ton of snow right there. So does that one. This one does as well. And you can see there's different variations. And even if the snow you could see only falls for areas of Maine and New Hampshire, you will see wicked winds from much of the even down into, say, New York, and you'll probably see some effect of that system, as this thing is probably going to turn into an absolute beast. And again, the models may do a dramatic shift, say, towards the south with this overall system, and that could affect further south areas. There's that clipper. You can see this one shows it very, very far towards the north into Wisconsin. And again, as a result, it doesn't develop a strong nor'easter because it's too far inland. But I do want to say that scenario is becoming less and less likely, that there won't be any intensification. Okay, there we go. I found one. So there's that clipper. Look at that again. Minneapolis, probably several inches out of that, for sure. I mean, if the scenario like this would occur, probably maybe even over half a foot. Michigan, Wisconsin, there's our little the system again. Rain, snow, depending. It's a lot of lakes interfering there with warm waters. The winds blowing from different directions. We'll have to wait and see exactly, what the precip types are for you there. But look, it just blows up within, 12 to 24 hours. Probably a bomb cyclone by definition. Right? And look at that. Extremely heavy snow into Maine, New Hampshire, much of New England. Sorry, southern Canada. Cities like Quebec getting impacted a lot, significantly by this system. And again, even if you're not seeing any snow in Boston, you're going to be seeing wicked winds off of this system. So it's definitely a storm that's going to be worthy to talk about. And, maybe this clipper, right, we'll be seeing a more southerly track. Say it goes from northeastern Iowa to northeastern Missouri. Then you can imagine this thing would sneak again through the mid-Atlantic and maybe develop more snow for maybe again Boston, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. With that would be Boston, obviously. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's definitely looking like a potent beast, to say the least. It's just a matter of where it really kind of develops. And you could see that this model in particular, again, keeps a active pattern. So we have a lot of information to continue processing every day. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. I will keep you all updated. See ya.